Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Let's do our breathing. Our breathing works. We can kind of center and ground ourselves this afternoon. Hanumai. Hanuaku. Hanumai. Hanuaku. Hanumai. Hanuaku. E ho mai ka ke mai luna mai e. O na mea huna nueo. O na mele. E ho mai. E ho mai. E ho mai e. Ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. O na mea huna nueo. O na mele. E ho mai. E ho mai. E ho mai e. Ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. O na mea huna nueo. O na mele. E ho mai. E ho mai. E ho mai e. Aloha mai kako, mahalo nui to everyone for joining us this afternoon. I keep wanting to say morning, but it's not morning anymore. But it is Friday, very exciting. This is our second session in our ʻIke mōakaaka series with Kanoelani Davis in honor of Recovery Month. My name is Lilinoe Pohikawa, and I am a population health specialist with Papola Lokahi, focusing on addictions, behavioral mental health, and social justice issues. Before we go ahead and get started, I just wanted to share a few housekeeping notes. So today's session will be recorded. Please note as well that we are using the Zoom meeting format. So please remember to keep yourself on mute while our speaker is presenting. Please feel free to post any questions you have into the chat, which will be monitored throughout our session. We will leave some time to answer questions and talk story toward the end of today's session. This training has been approved by the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Division for CSAC, CCS, CPS, CCJP, CSAPA, and social worker continuing education credit hours. Following the webinar, you'll be asked to complete an evaluation. Please take a moment to complete this evaluation, as it really does help us to improve and expand our programming opportunities. And then for those who wish to get continuing education credit, the evaluation will connect you to the attendance verification form. And then upon completion of that form, you'll receive an email certifying your attendance and credit hours, and then that will serve as your credit letter for licensure. The link will also be sent to you in a follow-up email. Please note that you will need to click on the evaluation link that will be provided in the chat at the end of the session in order to complete it. It will also, it'll also be emailed to you, along with a copy of the recordings as well. So this series is co-sponsored by Papola Lokahi and the Hawaii State Alcohol and Drug Abuse Division. Reminder that we did drop the link in the chat to a pretest. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to fill it out. You only have to fill that out once at the beginning of the 3 series sessions. So if you filled it out before our last session, then you don't need to fill it out again. Mahalo again to everyone for joining us on this journey. And I don't want to waste any time today. And so I know that most of you joined us on our first session a couple of weeks ago. So I don't think our speaker needs any more introduction, but it's my honor to introduce to you today Kanoelani Davis, and I'll go ahead and turn things over to you so we can dive right in.
Oh, aloha mai kako, aloha. I'm so happy to be here with you folks again. Always exciting, partially because, not because I get to share all of this, whatever it is you're here for, but I get to have this moment to share mana with you and to appreciate the people who are here. And I am absolutely grateful for that. It keeps me grounded and it keeps me humble and it keeps me going. So mahalo. Before we begin, my name is Kanoelani Davis. I come from the islands of Molokainuiahina in the ahupua of Kamiloloa, from the winds of Pai, the lokoʻia of Kalokoʻeli, and the channels of Kalohi, and our piko or Kamako. So mahalo, I honor all of our kupuna who are around us and your kupuna as well, because without them, we all would not be here. So mahalo. Oh, it's so awesome. Aloha, Gwen, Kathy, aloha. I wanted to share my screen really quickly, and maybe you can join me. As you folks remember, last time we met, we always start with grounding and protocol. It keeps us very grounded, and I say that in the sense of, like, don't forget why you're here. Kanoe, it's not about you. It's not about. It's about all of us, right? So it keeps me grounded, keeps us grounded, it protects us, keeps us focused. And that's the biggest part in regards to this type of work and all the work that we do. So we'll start off with He Mu'oya. If you know it, please join me. Na'au Makua. Please invite your kupuna, your family names, those who came before you, think of them, and I will take a second or two to allow that space to happen so that you can recognize them or acknowledge them. We will also do pule pale, pale being of protection. And I always say, what are we protecting ourselves from? Well, from our bad thoughts, from those things we overthink, from all those that chaos on the side that just wants to get into our place, because we know misery loves company. Whatever the case may be, we're gonna shut. This is our boundaries, our barrier. This is where we want to be. We're here, and nothing is allowed to penetrate that boundary unless we give it permission. And then he pule no kapopolo, another pule for our mental health, our constant mental health. And we recognize the popolo, the la'au popolo, is also used for medicinal purposes as kanaka maui. Okay, with that being said, I'm gonna take another deep breath because I need it. All right. He mu'oya. He mu. He mu na moi ino na moi a na uno na haumia he mu'oya. He mu eli. Noa ia e. Noa kahonoa he mu'oya. He mu na moi ino na moi a na uno na haumia he mu'oya. He mu eli. Noa ia e. Noa kahonoa he mu'oya. He mu na moi ino na moi a na uno na haumia he mu'oya. He mu eli. Noa ia e. Noa kahonoa. Na au makua mai kalahiki a kalakau. Mai ka ho'oku ia ka halavai. Na au makua ia ka hina kua ia ka hina alo ia ka akau I kalani. O ki hai kalani. O we kalani. Lulu I kalani. Kahulu. Eia nā pula a oko ka ohana. E malama oko ia mako. E ulu I kalani. E ulu I ka honua. E ulu I ka pai aina o Hawaii. E ho mai ka ike. E ho mai ka ika. E ho mai ki aka mai. E ho mai ka maopokopono. E ho mai ka iki pāpālua. E ho mai ka mana. Amama uano. Au hea oi e kane me lono e haole mai ka ua ulu ka ai e pale ka wi e loa ka ia mau ka makai. E me hana ka koi ka la, e ahawi ke kapua me ka lole, e maluhia ka noana. Au ole mokuhana nui ke au puni, au ole kaua, au ole hauna ele nui, au ole nui loa ka heva. E pale ia I ka mai nui a me ka make nui, ai olu ka noana. A hia I ka leo, a he leo vale no, a he leo vale noe. And he pule no ka popolo. Ka popolo a kane, I kanu I ka hiki, I ulu I ka hiki, I lau I ka hiki. I opu, I hua, I o I ka hiki, I ula I ka hiki, I hele, I hana, I mui mui a. He ka ua I ka pō manu manu, he ka ua I ka pō kini kini. Pua mai, pua hoi, pua ki, pua he, pua mea, kane, Ke Ola. Mahalo, mahalo for allowing me to share breath with you folks and having a moment to ground. Much appreciated. All right, so ʻIke mōakaaka, right? Bringing the visions, the clarity. I want to remind us what that is so we do not forget. Again, always breaking it down. ʻIke, right? To see, to know, to feel, to greet, recognize, perceive, experience, which is what we're going to be doing today. Makahana ka ʻIke. We're going to learn by doing. And one of the biggest philosophies that I have lived and learned by was, knowledge is to know. Intelligence is the experience of knowing. And we want to get to this experience, to this intelligence, to this ʻIke. This is how we connect. And the mōakaaka is clear. Clarity. This is how we perceive, how we manifest, how we can now stay focused, we can make it intentional, or we can embrace it. Whatever we choose. But we have that mana, that we have that power to do so. I wanted to share, I took this line from a couple pule that I had learned. E hoʻola na kaula me na kilo. So the kaula in our mo'olelo, the kaula in through our culture would be those prophets, those ones who saw things ahead. Kapihe, right? E iho ana o luna e wano alalo, we e iho ana o luna. We thinking of the future. They already called it. They already saw it. We thinking of iho ale kalapopo polo from Molokai. The people shall rise. The people from the land will rise. Those are our hina, hi'iaka. In the stories of hi'iaka and Pele, hi'iaka was a kaula, right? They could see, they had the ability to, and it's not, I don't even want to use the word psychic or any of those things, because it's deep, it's more, it's something else, it's unexplainable, but absolutely real. And so they had these kaula in the past, and they could see the future. They knew, and they did it because they were observing. They did it because they were paying attention. And that's what the kilo is. Your kilo is your observer. So you have your astronomers, right? Who observe the stars. That's your kilo. You have your weather people who know when the wind comes and those storms come. They are kilo. Well, we also kilo ourselves. This is, I like to call it my mana management plan. This is what I manage, my emotional mana management plan. I kilo myself, right? I know myself so well. I could tell you once a month, I'm going to lose it. I should just forewarn you right now. That's me. I've been losing it once a month for the last, I don't know, 20 30 years. Okay, so I kilo myself. I know what triggers me. I know what trauma is. What is my trauma? I know what types of spaces I need to be in to have more clarity. I know what types of spaces, if I'm in, it will pull me into a deeper hole. I know, and I know better. So when I make choices, I understand the consequences. Can I complain about it? Hell, I can complain all day. Was he gonna do anything? No. So what's the purpose of having this gift of a kaula and a kilo if you don't do anything with it? Okay. So we're gonna use this mentality, inspiring through mo'olelo. Who's mo'olelo? Your mo'olelo. Your mo'olelo is the most important mo'olelo that you could have. Before any other mo'olelo in our history, in our culture, in the lands we live, our mo'olelo is the most important. And the reason for that is because we integrate and connect so naturally that we can either be going against something or going with something. But either way, our mo'olelo is important, and we have to understand that. So when we talk about this thing called visions, right, that appear in dreams, is our haʻili moi. Some of us, you know, you may know people, or you yourself have had names that come up in dreams. Your po'i noa, you know, oh, somebody's having a baby. Whose name does this belong to? It's happened. You know, I had you know, we have these dreams, we have these things, and sometimes we don't know if it's real, if it's not. If our consciousness, our subconsciousness is creating these spaces to give us messages because we're not doing our job in our daily conscious life, that they gotta come in through our subconscious to wake us up. Whatever they are. A lot of the times they'll come in dreams, right? So when we talk about visions in here, I want us to recognize the ones that we have in dreams and the ones that we have when we're up. Some of those are called akaku, but that's a whole other thing. To foresee is ʻike. To foresee. Okay. Having foresight. ʻike. Now, I do want to talk about the difference between intentional visualizations and unintentional. Now, we talk about the haʻili moi, we talk about those dreams, we talk about the subconscious, we talk about even just your na'au, your gut feeling that doesn't have an answer. And no, you can't, a lot of the times they don't even have instructions. How many times have we had a feeling and we, you know, you're going, what do you want me to do with that? I don't know. I don't understand. We just do, right? They don't tell you how to do it. Your gut, your na'au doesn't say how. And a lot of the times I like to reference my kupuna, the ones who have passed. A lot of the times I talk to them. That's my na'au. Because yeah, they don't give us, they don't really give us instructions. And I think that's a part of this shift in subconscious and conscious, is that we don't know, we don't understand, and there's not enough information that helps us embrace those parts of us because we're labeled judgment, right? So what do we do with that? So I want to talk about this part of this session, which is makahana ka ʻike, which is about, in the experience, we're going to learn that we're going to create intentional visions because we have more control over intention. Not that unintentional ones are bad, but in this case, we want to have absolute meaningfulness and intention. That's how we're going to get through this. And we want to understand that the kupuna will share with us. Our na'au will guide us. And as we get better at understanding the stuff that we can control, we can get better at understanding the stuff we cannot. Okay. And we also have to recognize that visions is not necessarily a physical aspect of seeing. Visions are things that we feel, right? So sometimes we walk into a space and it feels really like that, you know. You're having that moment, you're feeling something, you're knowing, you're seeing, your ʻIke is on. Something's not right. I don't want to go in. And then we check ourselves. Is it our fear base or is it not? So again, we don't, what we're trying to do is get to a very natural state where we're not questioning, where we know ourselves so well, we do not ever have to question it. And that's the goal. So how are we going to do this, Kanoi? What are we going to do? How are we going to take a very old thought process and integrate it into modern times, into modern ways, into things that everybody else knows? Because we're not going to be able to sit with people and talk about this all day. They're not going to be able to live with you where you can show them that these things are real, you know? So I like to do vision boards, dream boards. And with the ʻōpio, ʻōpio being, normally the ʻōpio I work with is from 7th grade to about 18, 19. So even after they graduated high school, and we call these NOAA boards. And they're different from the ones that they do in high school, because they all, apparently I talked to all my kids, they all have to do it, right? What college you want to go to, what kind of job and career. Great, it's being done. But these NOAA boards is what it is, NOAA free. I want them to free themselves of these expectations. I want them to free themselves of these things that are expected of them, and they expect of themselves because that's all they know. I need them to journey further than that. And I ask you folks for that same responsibility, to be free of your expectations, to go beyond the norm, that your norm is the norm. And when you start to think about those things, I don't want us to feel guilty about that. I don't want us to feel that it doesn't align with my work, or it doesn't align with my family values. It doesn't align with my partner. I want us to be free, liberated, right? And when you walk into this space is your space, and nobody regulates it. So there's no judgment. There is no guilt. We should not feel any guilt for wanting the things that we want, or having the things that we have. None. So in that, we have these boards are visual representation of our goals, and it helps us stay focused. Helps us stay focused, especially when we are professors, healers, providers, mothers, fathers. Gosh, we need focus sometimes, and it is okay to ask for that. And sometimes these vision boards, these visual representations of our goals may not even see the light of day. It may not even be seen by anybody else in this world. All it needs to be seen is by you. That's it. Whoever you choose. So we're gonna actually start one today. And if you folks were ready from last time, hopefully you folks have your pen, your paper, maybe some things to create your vision board. And if not, that's fine. And we'll also talk about a digital one as well. I want to remind ourselves again about that na'au intelligent. This is our gut, our intuition. These are the things that connect us, in my mind, my kupuna, right? It is our belief that we are interconnected, past, present, and future. We see elements for Ailona, our moʻopuʻauhau, our genealogy, and many aspects, other aspects differently, because we are fortunate to still be on our aina. And I want us to remember, we are very fortunate to be on our aina, and we need to say that over and over and over again. I work I do work with the Intercultural Leadership Institute, and it's a minorities, LGBTQs, Kanaka Maoris, Native Americans, Black Americans, Asian Americans, a lot of minorities. We work together, and as a Kanaka, I will say, we need to make sure that we're constantly appreciating that we are still on our aina. Remember that. Without recollection or acknowledgement, we feel and we know things. Again, I believe we can feel 10 times more because we're here. So if we get a chance to touch our aina, maybe we're not from this aina, maybe the people you work with are not from this land. That's okay. We want people to work towards their history, right? When we go into history books, we're learning about others' history. Let's go into our mo'olelo, our story, and we're gonna work on our history. And it's hard. I know it could be triggering, and I know there could draw trauma, right? Because there may have been disconnects. And in that, we have to be very, very conscious as those who will teach, those who will be working with others, that we have to be conscious of that. And we need to provide a secure space for for folks to go and do this type of research, because that will open up some things. But we'll have to remember, it's in the uncomfortable that we find comfortable. It's in the problems that we find solutions. We have to remember, we have to walk through in order to understand what we're dealing with. I am a very good example of walking through fires. I will walk. I am afraid of heights, but I will jump off planes. I am afraid of heights, but I will jump off cliffs and waterfalls. You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't, but I am. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I found myself on a mountain, and it took me 3 hours to come down it. 3 hours. I was by myself. I walked up this mountain. Mountain I've been up many, many, many times. Many times. Suddenly, all the mental instabilities, all the things that were holding me back, all the things that I questioned myself on, came up. And whoa, suddenly I couldn't come down the mountain. 3 hours. So we push ourselves, period. We push ourselves past our own fears, and we open up spaces to create our goals and to have that foresight. Traditional versus digital. We have a short amount of time, so it's hard to really go through this, but I'm gonna have you guys engage in this. So if you have things that you could use to make traditional boards, this is a great time to do it. If you don't, there's things like Canva, which is free, canva.com, PowerPoint. I had one student who did all of their goals on a private Instagram account. They connected it to an Instagram account, put all their goals on, and looked at it and screenshot it and made it like their phone, their phone home screen, so that they could look at it every day. So the idea is you want to be able to see it daily. You want to be able to look up and be reminded, because we're going to talk a little bit about how our brains work, and how it can be easily, it can be used as your mana, it can be used as your power. So traditional versus digital. If you're going to do digital, you may want to print it. Okay, get a beautiful frame. I have a beautiful frame for mine. Mine is in my room, and I can see it every day. Here I do, now we're in this day and age where we really can't get together a lot of the times 2019 was the last one we could get together at. And so we all did our vision boards, and I do one every year, and I will tell you, everything on my boards have all come true every single time. Every single time. No question, no doubt. And I put some really crazy things on there. And it's amazing, amazing. And then this one down here in this corner is a digital version. And I like the digital version because you can customize it, make it pretty. It could be a part of your art. You know, coordinate your colors and your photos. You can be very specific when it comes to your digital pieces, because you have Google. When you do your traditional one, you're going through magazines. I like the ones through magazines because it opens your mind to see things at different layers. And the layers, that kaona, okay, your makawalu, your eyes, your perspectives, all come into play, and they're trained while doing something more traditional, more, you know, through the magazine. You're creative, your everything. And I love that. So there's benefits to both. Benefits to both. Okay, I'm running out of time. Holy smokes. Okay, here we go. We want to create timelines and we want to create focus. Okay, we're going to dive into these spaces. Last time I met with you folks, we talked about the 3 phases in which we're going to do this. The first one is hulihia kamana, right? To intentionally, meaning nothing's going to catch you by surprise because you're intending to shift. So don't act surprised when something comes up. It's happening and we're going to be okay with it. So this is your intentional shifting of your mana. In this case, your mana is your energy. We're going to go and we're going to make it into what we want to make it. And we're going to intentionally do that, knowing what we're getting into. The second part of that, again, hōʻā Mana, to clean, to clear, and to create purity. Once, I always like to use this analogy with my kids. Like when I go into their room, and their room, I could tell them to clean their room 100 times, and 100 times they're not gonna clean it. It's like 1 thing up, 2 things up, maybe, you know. So one day I walk in the room and I'm like, all right, okay, I see where this is not happening. Let me help you out. And I take all their drawers and I put everything on. Fully all their drawers. Turn all their drawers upside down. Pull everything out of the drawers, pull everything from the closet, pull it down. Everything's on the floor. Hulihia kamana. I just want to shift that energy. Hoʻā Mana. Now you guys gotta clean it up. Remove the things that don't fit you. Remove the things that are broken. Remove the things that serve no more purpose in your life. And it doesn't matter whether you throw it away, donate it, or recycle it, but it needs to be removed. And now's your opportunity. So we're gonna hoʻā Mana. We're gonna clean this space. The third part, right? Hoʻā Mana, to ignite and generate energy. Okay, it's clean. We moved everything around, but there's still a mess. Something's gotta happen. We're gonna wake up and we're gonna put it all away. Now is a great time to organize, to figure out what we're gonna do next, to maintain it, to go through the process of everything has a place, everything has meaning, and we're gonna give it meaning. We're gonna honor everything that we have in our space that we kept, because there has to be a reason why we kept it. And if you're keeping everything and yet you're still in the same space, we might want to recheck that. Oh, they don't love those days where I huli their rooms, but you know, we all love it at the end. We're all happy because we have a clean room, and guess what? Clean spaces makes more room for other things, and other things that come into that are things you want, you honor, you invite. So they always love that. I do too. Again, this process, I want to remind you folks that this process is an indirect approach to health and well-being through a cultural lens. It is not a direct approach. So whether we're dealing with substance use, prevention, intervention, whether we're dealing with, any type of space where we need to find more stability, we're not going to directly focus on what is wrong. We are going to directly focus on everything that is right. And we're going to make that grow and get bigger and stronger than everything that we think is wrong. Because somebody, somewhere in our lifetime told us that we were wrong. And we put so much focus on that. So much. That we forgot how much right we are. We're going to redirect, and we're going to approach this in the most indirect way. Living with my grandparents every day, it was a chore to do half the things that I did, and I didn't understand it as a kid. Like, why am I doing this? Oh, a good example, Karate Kid. I love that movie. Why? Because that was my life, right? Wax on, wax off, paint, painting the fence and up and down. And it was like questioning, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Well, hello, there was a lesson in all of it. That's indirect. That's indirect. But the more we share, the more we learn. Okay. So if you folks did your homework last week, the last time I saw you folks, you might have a list already. And if you didn't, it's okay. What I want us to do is we're going to practice something called pono'i. Okay. Your first question, if you so choose to take this mission, is o waila. Who are you? Who are you? Simple question, right? No, not really. Because most times people will, one, focus on all the negatives. Two, will focus on things that actually others make you. I am a good mother. Yes, you are a good mother, but you wouldn't be a mother had you not had children. I'm a good worker. Yes, you are a good worker, but you wouldn't be a good worker if you didn't have a job. Now, who are you? So I want you folks to think on the level of me without the external. So we're breaking attachments and codependencies. We want to release ourselves of those hindrances. Okay, so, and I also want to mention in this, and this is where you're going to kilo. You're going to do self-observation. When you start to write your list down, how are you writing your list? Believe it or not, when I work with people individually, I look at their list, and I'm not even looking at what's on their list. I'm looking at how they created their list. A lot of the times we do pros and cons, goods and bads, negatives and positives. Scrap all of that. No more. No more negative, positive, no more pros, cons, none of that. Just write down who you are, because somebody labeled something in you that told you was bad. I don't want you to think that way anymore, because some things in you that others think is bad might actually be of good use and positive. Okay, so we gotta scrap that. So I want you to talk about this and write this down. I want you guys to think about, what are your motivations? Okay, this can be exterior, my children, my health and well-being, the 7 generations that are going to come from me. What's your motivations? What are your dreams and goals? Are we ever too old to have dreams and goals? Is it ever too late to start your vision board, your NOAA board, or whatever? No, you don't have to start at the beginning of the year. You can start at any time you want, and you can make it for as long as you want. I like to do yearly. I do it at the beginning of the year because it helps. My brain works that way. It can be seasonal. Like we're coming up into Piko Ola. We're coming up into the equinox. If you were to choose to do it at every season, that's a good way to do it too. But every 6 months, every 3 months, whatever you choose, that is up to you. And then I want you to ask yourself, as you can break it down. You could do something that's spiritual, one that's educational, one career, health. You can break it up, or I like to put all of it in one board. And then, because I also don't want to overwhelm myself. I know myself really well. I'm a checklist person and a cross things off person. So if I'm not seeing things getting crossed off, I get discouraged. So I know myself well. So I keep it small, simple. And then your priorities. So again, I want you to walk into this space, the hulihia mana, to intentionally shift mana. Remember, you're opening the drawers, you're turning all the clothes over and throwing everything on the floor. What do you have? What do you have? Okay. Now, with that being said, we're running out of time. I realize I talked so much, and I wanted this to be engaging. So we're gonna be breaking out into what do you call that? Breakout rooms. That's the word. And then let's do 10 minutes in the breakout room. I think we only need what, Illinois, like two rooms.
Two. Okay.
Yeah. I think we only need 2 rooms. And I want us, and the reason why I wanted these breakout rooms, because it's smaller spaces and to talk. So it's a process. I want you to process this thinking of what I'm asking of you. O Vaila, who are you? Maybe give each other examples, maybe try to figure out what I'm talking about, but it's in this process, at this very, very moment, that this is gonna stick. Not because I told you what to do, and not because you're gonna write down something and say you did it. It's in the process of figure out, what is Kanoe talking about? What does she mean? And why? Why is she talking like, I want that process to happen, the wheels start to turn. So we're gonna get into we're gonna get into 2 groups, and then let's say 223. Come back. Awesome. All right. Good luck. Can I just get a thumbs up or a thumbs down? How did your breakout session go?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Okay. Was it enough time or not enough time?
Not enough time.
Right.
Yeah.
Never enough time, especially right when we start to like skim the top and we're starting to dive. We're like, wait, I just got it. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. The people you work with are only going to see you for that 1 hour. Your students are only going to see you for that little while. They yearn for you, but what we teach them is to yearn for themselves, right? That we're here to support and hold a secure space as teachers, as mentors, as providers. And we're going to be here until you get to that point, and then you're going to stand. And I always tell this to everybody that I work with. Your goal is to beat me. Don't let me intimidate you, because I'm screwed up in so many ways. So don't worry. But your goal is to beat me. Because then my goal is to then, it's not a competition, but we rise and we keep our environment in business, right? Your 5 closest people, right? Those are the ones you hold close because you strive to be just like them. And believe it or not, you're in somebody's 5. So we're gonna keep doing that. I do wanna, and we're running out of time. 3 minutes, is that right? Okay, I'm sorry, folks. I'm gonna. Okay, now that I just tickled all of you folks, I'm gonna leave you tickled from this point on, and I'm sorry. That means you gotta come next week, Friday, for the last session. Keep working on that. Again, keep focused on what's gonna happen next. You're gonna clean. Use my metaphor of cleaning your room, or your children, having them clean their room. Turn everything upside down. Take out what you don't need, what has no purpose in your life, the things that are broken. And again, it doesn't matter if you donate it, if you throw it away, or if you recycle it. Whatever you choose to do is completely up to you. And don't feel shameful to keep certain things that maybe society, your friends, your families don't want you to keep. That might have some type of significance. But if it doesn't, and you can detach, it keeps you more free. Your goal is to detach from the material. And the only attachment you need is to yourself. Okay. Hoʻā Mana, the last step of this. Funny, I'm asking the same questions as the beginning. It's the hulihia. Why? Because at this point, you should have cleaned, you should have brought all of your things out, you should have recognized what it was, and you push things away, put things away, you're reorganizing, you're back to square one, but your square one is also your completion. Whoa. Whoa. Circle of life. Did we just hear Lion King just now? Okay. What do you think about? Hana I ka wā ma hope. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're gonna look into the future. I have you folks again next week, same bat time, same bat place. We're gonna continue to develop this. Hopefully you folks will have your boards done. Do it for you. Do it for you. Take time to do it for you. Use this as work hour. I don't know. Tell them that you are working. This is part of your work. But you need it because this is going to only enhance you and whatever you touch and do more. Okay. So we're going to continue to develop and this process and how you can utilize this process for others. Okay. That's what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to finish this off and then we're going to have you, we're going to sit and talk about how we can develop this type of curriculum to work with others through a cultural lens and through a more integrative modern way. And then if you guys were interested in the Noah boards, I don't know if you work with youth, I can share a little bit more about that too. So that's what we're going to look for next week. And again, I always want to acknowledge my grandfather who has given me a lot of the ʻIke that I have today. My papa. I am grateful. I couldn't without him. Hoʻā Mana, which is our nonprofit, single parents. Again, self-work, love, and healing. Looking for longevity. And then Mana Bombs LLC, who does these vision and vibes. And it's powered by PoMahina Designs, which is my other business. So I know we have, it's 2:30. Do you folks have questions? No.
Kanoe, I have one question. I miss, aloha, my name is Hale, and I'm from Molokai. I live in Kuala Lumpur, yeah. Question, I just missed that part just before where you said, you know, the goal is to beat me. And it just all felt really good and right, but I wasn't too sure what the kind of like the mana or what did you mean by that?
You know, I tell this to my children all the time, and I know I use them as an example, and my grandfather did the same, and my grandmother did the same. The idea for you to rise above me gives you a goal. You want to strive. And if you're, in my mind, a Kumu, a leader, a teacher, a mentor, always wants their students to be better than them. Always. Why do we rise ourselves up and then just want them to be right there? Never. And the reason for that is because if they rise above us, now it gives us something to work towards too. If not, we become complacent. So it keeps us humble, it keeps us growing, and it keeps us not knowing it all because we can't.
Mahalo. Mahalo. Thank you.
Mahalo nui. Does anyone else have any questions before we close our space today? I just wanted to give a huge mahalo to Kanoe for sharing this space and creating this. Wow, just what medicine, right? Like I have a friend that says that it's the medicine, like, and that's really what it feels like. You know, it's such a healing space to start to learn how we can approach this in our own lives and then with the people that we interact with every day. And I think that's just so special. So I want to just mahalo you for sharing this ʻIke with us from your your life and then from your ohana, you know, this is just mahalo nui. And then I will just quickly, I shared with you folks in the chat box the evaluation and attendance verification. So I'm just really quickly going to tell you what else is we have coming. So if you can click on that link, I'm also going to send it to you in an email. So no worries, I'm going to share the recording of today since we went through things, you know, a lot of mana'o, right? A lot of stuff we probably all want to revisit. Also share with you the slides. Kanoe made some gorgeous slides and shared those with us. So I'll send those out to you all. So our next session here will be September 24th. That's next Friday. Again, same time, 1:30 to 2:30. And again, just a huge mahalo to Kanoe and to all of you for joining us in this space today. And I just want to say, please enjoy the rest of your day.